A show created by the fans, for the fans. We are your home for Ohio State football coverage all year long. The Scarlet and Gray Podcast, a Network 216 production. Live weekdays on the Network 216 YouTube channel. Send us all your questions and comments on Twitter at @VSG_podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Dalton, and Nick Leisure.
Good evening, Buckeye Nation, and welcome to tonight's episode of the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. Tyler Johnson, Nick Leisure, Jordan Dalton with you. Guys, how are you doing this evening?
Doing well. Pushed it up a day because we're going to a crew game tomorrow.
Go Crew!
Yes,
sir.
Playoff game.
About that.
Should be a fun time.
Hey, quick tidbit.
Absolutely.
Cavs are 3-0. Hot start of the season. Got a big one against the Knicks tonight. But we're here to talk about Ohio State and that tough one this weekend that we just had.
Yeah. quite a not a fun game to watch, that's for sure. But of course, there's plenty to get into tonight. But before we get to any of it, guys, as a reminder, drop a quick like on the video if you would. Subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Again, completely free. Really supports the channel. And it shows the support for Network 216 and the Scarlet and Gray Podcast. Just remember, once you subscribe, you'll be notified once the Ohio State football content is available for you twice weekly. Not only do we have our regular scheduled show during the week, we also have our Buckeye game day previews that we have for every matchup throughout the season that we release on Fridays. So make sure you don't miss any of it. Subscribe to the channel. And once again, thank you all for your support. Gentlemen, Ohio State beat Nebraska on Saturday. And no, they did not cover the spread. The Buckeyes win 21-17. There's a lot to really dive into in this, but what were some of your just initial takeaways from this performance that the Buckeyes had on Saturday?
Nebraska's tough. I mean, I thought it was going to be a close game. I didn't think Ohio State was going to cover the spread, but it ended up being a lot closer than we thought. And I think that they were kind of looking ahead to this Penn State game. Just a little bit, a home game, noon game. Should have been better, though.
I mean, I just thought the lack of the run game again. I mean,
Yeah.
64 yards on, 31 attempts. That's not going to get it done, I mean, it's 2.1 yards a carry. That's just not great. Left tackle, Zen got dominated all game long. Didn't he end up getting hurt later in the game?
He is hurt.
I think they said they might move Donovan Jackson over to left tackle. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Yeah, I mean, just didn't really get a lot of push on either side of the ball, like in the trenches, which I thought was interesting, especially watching the way Indiana ran all over Nebraska last week. But yeah, just a tough one. I mean, you get the win. Defense wins you that game in the second half, which was nice to see, I guess. If there's a positive to it, the defense really showed up in that second half in that fourth quarter. But, yeah, and also 1 of 10 on third down. That's another thing that's just not going to fly against better teams that have equal talent across the board. So definitely a lot to talk about tonight, a lot to work on for the Buckeyes moving forward into going into Happy Valley next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch the first half of this game, you think, okay, Ohio State's going to blow them out of the water because you really started to figure some things out there as the Buckeyes scored in the first and second quarter. And then you're coming out of halftime, and it's just like, I don't know what they talked about at halftime, what that discussion was. The team looked flat. The team looked uninterested. It just was really odd to see. And I think we're getting to the point where we need to start being concerned about the run game from this perspective. The loss of Josh Simmons cannot be understated whatsoever because ever since he's been gone, the Buckeyes couldn't run in the second half against Oregon. The Buckeyes couldn't run it at all against Nebraska. And right now, that's a huge problem because Donovan Jackson sounds like it's going to be moving from left guard to left tackle, a guy who doesn't play left tackle. You have Luke Montgomery, who hasn't started for the Buckeyes all year, and you're going to end up, and again, we'll have our Ohio State versus Penn State game day preview on Friday for you guys, but to even talk about, like, this offensive line, as banged up as they are, is now going to have to go to Happy Valley on the road, and if we can't run that football, I don't know if we win. I mean, again, I don't know if we win that game. You are now in a position where the run game in the second half against Oregon and against Nebraska is running for under 3 yards a carry. Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins. It's not getting it done. And then on top of that, Will Howard, was under duress pretty much all day. And he even still, his stat line looked pretty good outside of the terrible interception that he threw. I don't know. He clearly predetermined that Reed was going to throw it no matter what. But I don't know, guys. Like, one thing I will say, Chip Kelly's been good for the Buckeyes this year. Probably his worst called game of the year was on Saturday, from a standpoint of why do we get in short – let me ask you guys this question. Why do we get in short yard situations and think we need to run the pistol? Your quarterback's already in the shotgun. The running back is then 2 or 3 yards behind the quarterback. And normally we just lose yards because we can't get enough push up front. When you have a 6'5" quarterback who's 230 pounds, and all he has to do is fall forward, and you're probably going to pick up a first down.
Here's my thing with that, dude. It's like you got 2 fifth-year seniors in Will Howard and Seth McLaughlin at your center, right? So you would think, okay, we need a yard. Let the 2 fifth-year guys go get you a yard. Will Howard, like you said, 6'5", he falls forward. It's a first down. Like, I think that this shows a lack of trust, I guess, in the offensive line to be able to go under center and get that push, initially, I guess. I don't really know. You see it every week from all teams across the country, 4th and 1, and they try to get fancy and they go in the shotgun. I personally, I know you guys are all on the same page. It's like, why? Even if you don't have a big quarterback, you should be able to get a yard. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah, they really miss Josh Simmons. I was hopeful that they would be able to put something together, game plan or help on that side for Zen, but it ended up just being a total disaster. That was the worst we've seen pass pro. That was probably the worst complete game rushing of the season. Coming into the game, Nebraska had a really good D-line, right, TJ? It was one of the highlights.
They were really good, JD, at getting to their staple is they can get after the quarterback. Like, we didn't know that. They weren't necessarily great rush defense, but they're probably respectable, I would say.
That's not necessarily true because before the Indiana game, they hadn't given up a rushing touchdown all year. And then they just
yards-wise, they weren't great. I'll say that.
Right. Okay. And then against Indiana, they just happened to go 5. So the stats are kind of skewed on that. Yeah. But before Indiana, they hadn't given up a rushing touchdown.
Yeah, so. Low key. Just because you brought it up, I'm low key looking forward to that Indiana game. I'm dude. They keep playing like they're playing.
If Rourke plays, man, we might be in some trouble.
Yeah, dude.
That
offense is cooking.
Yeah, they're tough. But again, I really liked how the defense played overall. I feel like they were on the field a lot more than they were used to. Ohio State lost the time of possession in this game. So that's never good. We only had 47 plays of offense. That's got to be Ryan Day's probably biggest thing that he hates to see. But, it is what it is.
I loaded this comment here. Frosty Mug, great name, by the way. I don't get all the negativity. It's Ohio State's first year in the physical Big Ten, where you have to have depth at every position to contend. Give them a few years. Are we talking about Nebraska? Are you referring to Nebraska? Because Ohio State has been in the Big Ten forever, so I'm a little confused. Please elaborate on this comment if you would. I'm a little bit confused by it. Do one of you guys kind of understand what's being said here? Ohio State should have depth at every position. They're one of the top teams in the country. I don't know Am I misinterpreting this, or do you?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
Okay, Frosty Mug.
Thanks
please
for the
elaborate.
comment, though, Frosty Mug.
Yeah, thank you. Please elaborate, just because I'm a little bit confused. So.
And we had talked about it on our preview show. I mean, just to kind of give a little bit of background of like what we were expecting coming into this game with Matt Rule at the helm. We kind of knew Nebraska would be a tough game. We didn't think it was going to be a cakewalk, and just from our our predictions, I don't think any of us predicted Ohio State to cover this. You did?
I did.
Yeah. So two of three didn't predict to cover. So I thought it would be a tough game. With Raiola being hurt coming in, I thought the offense would put up less points for Nebraska. And he ended up looking pretty good in a pretty big game. So I think in the next few years, Nebraska is going to be one of those teams that's going to be a ranked matchup for Ohio State. If we end up playing them year in, year out, I don't know how that's going to look with the schedules, with the new teams added and stuff like that. But I think they're going to be contending for a Big Ten title. It's going to be a wide open conference, I believe. You're just going to have Oregon, Ohio State, Nebraska, Michigan, Penn State. Like, those are going to be teams that are always going to be up there in the conversation. So I don't think this is I think getting out of this game with a win is way better than getting upset, obviously.
Yeah.
But we took a lot of things away from this game, and as fans, and maybe we should be a little bit more worried about this Penn State game coming up.
Doug's saying, I'm hoping they sandbag the offense to lull Penn State at a false sense of security, hope being the key word. I mean, I hope so, because this was the most conservative I've seen Chip Kelly call a game probably all year. And I don't know. And what do you guys think about this? Because I brought up this to some family members of mine. Do you think Chip Kelly, knowing the issue that they had on the offensive line, went conservative? Like, do you think it was he did this on purpose? Or because the reason I asked that is because he hasn't called a game like this all year. Once Zen came out, he got away from some of the things that they were doing in the first half. Do you guys see it that way, or do you just think overall he just didn't call a good game on Saturday?
Are you just referring to like the amount of run, like, because we weren't getting we ran the ball like 25 times still.
We ran the ball
31 times.
Yeah,
actually.
and we weren't getting anything.
I feel like we didn't run as many. Like, I feel like in the past games we were running a lot more like quick stuff to the outside. Like, I didn't really think we got a Mecca evolved enough. I mean, I think he only had 2 catches on Saturday. You know, we were used to seeing him get those balls in like the receiver screen game, stuff like that. I just feel like, I don't know, it was a really weird game overall. I just feel like we just didn't. I felt like we got kind of in third and long situations, which we haven't really been used to all year, and then we were just kind of like panicking a little bit. I don't know. It was a weird game from the very beginning. It just felt off. I don't know. It was weird to me.
Well, Howard threw the ball 16 times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I feel like that wasn't a lot. Yeah, I feel like
that's not a lot. I mean, that's nothing, man. Like,
hey, I will say, TJ, you got your
well.
Carnell Tate big game.
Yeah, he threw the ball well.
Carnell Tate made some really big plays. He did. I think this offense is built for 2 wide receivers to have good games, and then the third is just not going to. So Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith ended up being those 2 guys on offense.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith again making plays like he always does, and Carnell Tate looked great. But other than that, yeah, offense was pretty rough, and I don't believe it was because Chip Kelly was calling a conservative game. I think that's just how it ended up playing out. But man, you got to think though, like, with how unsuccessful the run is, like, why do you keep going back to it?
That's what I'm confused.
That's always been Ryan Day's thing, I feel like, though.
Here's what frustrates. Like, okay, the only time Will Howard had less pass attempts was against Marshall. Okay, he played a half, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, maybe slightly into the third quarter.
Yeah.
He threw 35 times against Oregon. Of course, that was back and forth, so that makes sense. 25 times against Iowa, 31 against Michigan State. The 16 pass attempts to me is mind-blowing. I mean, he went 13 of 16. Like, even after that interception, I think he threw it maybe one or two more times. Like, that just – it's odd because I don't understand it either, JD. And, again, if something's not working, you normally don't keep going to it. You have to adjust, game plan around it, make adjustments on the fly. It seemed like in this game to me, and I really am trying to figure out why – Chip just decided we're just going to run the ball no matter what, even if we're only gaining 2 yards. Like, it felt like what we used to watch on Sundays.
It could have just been he knew how good this D-line was for Nebraska, and he's like, the easiest way to wear him down is to run the ball. And like, really, if you're pushing the run, they're not going to be as eager to try to get to the quarterback, and maybe that'll hinder their pass rush somehow. But I don't know. I think it was definitely a strange game.
That would make sense to your point, Jordan, because like we did hit some deep shots over the middle of the field. You know, he hit the deep one to Carnell for the touchdown, which I know I'm going to say it, slightly underthrown, but Carnell made a great adjustment on the play. Great. It was a great connection overall. But then Will Howard throws the bomb to Jeremiah Smith, which was just right on the money, right in stride, a little bit of rope to it. So it was refreshing to see those deep shots finally that we really haven't seen a whole lot of this year. So that was good to see that. Obviously Will can throw those, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I saw I've noticed too, Will, and again, I think he proved on Saturday he can throw the deep ball. I think for him, it's all a timing. I really think for him, it's just timing. One thing he is better at, it does seem, when he is coming off play action and pushes it down the field, it's more accurate than out of shotgun. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that in the chat, but to me, that's something I take away from Will Howard. He is, when he has a play action fake and he is trying to stretch the field, more accurate for some odd reason than when it's out of shotgun. I don't know why, but it's just something I took away. And I've seen that a couple times this year.
It's probably just the drop puts him in rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes
hits that back foot and just let it rip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Saw a lot with Jameis Winston this past Sunday.
Frosty Mug says Chip was trying, in my opinion, to give the new O-line some game reps before the bigger game at Penn State.
That's fair. It's a fair point.
That very well could be the case. So that brings up a good question, guys. Where are you guys right now with this offensive line?
A little worried. But I do have a question. When did they end up putting Donovan Jackson in at left tackle during that game?
Did they? Late?
They had to.
Yeah.
Then got hurt. So that was their solution. They brought in, I think I told you guys it was either late third, I can't remember, late third, fourth quarter.
I can't remember when it happened.
Zen gets hurt. They moved Donovan Jackson to left tackle because they brought Luke Montgomery in to play left guard.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
gosh, yeah. I'm definitely nervous, right?
Donovan Jackson against Abdul Carter.
Well, it's like
later.
And Donovan Jackson, he's a 2-time, all Big Ten guard. Like playing tackle. Let alone, it's left tackle. So it's Will Howard's blind side. It's arguably the most important position on the offensive line, other than maybe like your center. It's I don't know, man. It's just there's some miscommunication on the line too. I know there's a couple plays where there was 2 guards pulling like towards each other. Like that's not good. When both guards are pulling, it's like, well, that's a busted play. So it's like. There's just a lot of mishaps. So to Frosty Mug's point, maybe he was just trying to get game reps and to let them see it in full speed and see what they have to correct on film. But that's a really gnarly time.
Maybe he just wasn't comfortable calling what they normally have been calling with that line.
Yeah, and that's completely understandable.
Yeah.
I can
a little concerning.
The thing that also concerns me is Donovan Jackson hasn't even played that great at guard this year. And now you're moving him to left tackle. I mean, it's not.
Got to adapt, baby. It's the name of the game.
Yeah,
bro, this is why depth at every position is just so important.
Yeah.
And I think we're really going to see it towards this stretch that we're about to go through towards the end of the year, into the playoff, and hopefully on the way to the national title game. Depth is just going to be so important, and getting as many guys reps as they can, I guess, is the best way to build that depth. But not due to injury. You'd like to do it because you're up by so much that you can put the backups in. But instead, it's been the other way.
Even if Zen's healthy, I don't know if I want to put him at left tackle.
Oh gosh,
like
man.
that's
early
that's
in that game. It was brutal.
That's the other aspect of it, because even if he is healthy, I don't know if you put him out there. And then here's the other thing. I feel like this is a conversation we're gonna have at the end of the year when we reflect on this coaching staff ultimately and how they did. This goes to show Justin Fry's lack of recruitment, because you have a fifth-year senior, okay, that clearly has not played basically at all except maybe some garbage time reps. And where are your 4- and 5-star guys? I saw someone mention Doug mentioned Ian Moore. Okay, why is Ian Moore not ready to go? I understand some of these guys need developed, but also what separates Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, these top programs is what happens in the trenches, what separates Michigan. And yeah, Michigan at the end of the day, even though they're struggling this year, one thing they're always good at is they're good in the trenches because they recruit well in the trenches. Ohio State does not have that. We go down an offensive lineman, and this entire offense shuts down and doesn't look remotely close to what we've seen. And I think that's a problem. It's an indictment on Justin Fry and his lack of ability to recruit top-end offensive line talent outside of the state of Ohio. The Armstrong twins, they might be very good at Ohio State. They're going to redshirt this year. I don't even know if they've seen the field this year. Those are two guys you brought in. Ian Moore, he's probably not going to see the field this year. Doug, sorry to say that. I mean, I wish I could, because I think he's got some good potential. But you don't have guys that are ready. And I think this is a huge problem that we are starting to see. You guys talk about depth. I don't think we have it on the offensive line, personally.
That's the only
Hopefully they prove me wrong. But I don't see
we talked about it in the offseason. It's not a shock.
Yeah. It's just the lack of it's just incredibly frustrating, the lack of recruitment at one of the most crucial positions in the country.
To be fair, though, dude, we really never recruited super well at the offensive line. I mean, when Urban came in, I feel like he really put an emphasis on getting some good because he knows that you got to have studs on the offensive and defensive line. But yeah, I mean, since Ryan Day's been the head coach, it's been kind of meh. You're right. I mean, but we've always talked about it.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah,
and everyone talks about it. So it's like everyone knows what the problem is. So
they do. I mean, it's very valid. So I want to ask you guys this, because there are some Buckeye players that have come out and talked about this team that they lack. I want to think of the right way to phrase this, because you never want to say guys just aren't pumped to beat Ohio State or whatever the case may be. But this team lacks the fire. It lacks the ability to have that killer mentality, that killer instinct that they're going to go on the football field and they're going to dominate any team they play, regardless of how good they are, regardless of the situation. They're going to go out and just physically dominate them. What do you guys think for those? Because there are former players that say that believe this team, it doesn't show the toughness that you need to show. What do you guys think about that when you watch this team?
I don't think they'd be saying that if we beat Oregon on the last play.
I would agree. I mean, I hate when former players say that kind of stuff. Unless you play on that 2014 team and you won a national title, I don't think any of these former players should be talking about this current team, about toughness and the fire to go out and destroy people, whatever. That's just my opinion. Unless you've won it all, then I'll listen to those guys on that team's opinions. But I mean, other than that,
came from Bobby Carpenter, by the way. Bobby Carpenter.
Okay, so if Bobby Carpenter's saying, then football is so much different than when he played. You know what I mean? violence is like frowned upon in the age of football that we play now. You know, you're always at the risk of a targeting or, or just something stupid.
Harbaugh was kicked out of the game for a targeting
for
call.
no reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't targeting.
It was just a football
He literally
play.
came back and said it wasn't targeting.
Yep.
So that's what I mean. I just feel like the game is just so much different that players can't use that full force and be fully violent like they want to be or have the ability to be, because there's always the risk that, well, if I'm too violent, I'm going to get a penalty and I'm going to cost my team 15 more yards or, So, I mean, I definitely can see it at points, but I feel like at the end of the day, they still only have one loss. It was to the number one team in the country now at third place, and we lost by a point. And, the win against Nebraska wasn't pretty, but you still got it done. So that's just what I come back to. It's like you still get a victory. Your goals are still out there. Just got to hope they come ready to play every week. I don't know.
The Game, Running Baldman, also another great name, says the game of football is turning into powder puff. I mean, it's definitely a lot different. I mean, there are a lot of changes, that's for sure.
It's bigger than ever, though.
Yeah, no kidding. It really is.
Which is
it's being watched more than it ever has been.
Would you agree with this? Would you guys agree with this comment? Ohio State looked uninspired at times on Saturday, but they won.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so. I mean, defense. Like I told you guys earlier, the defense really played well when they needed to. Mm-hmm. I was really happy with how they played down the stretch. You get the big stand when they're on our goal line, and Cody Simon comes flying over the top of the pile, to get stops. So I feel like they'll be fine. It's just one of those games.
What do you guys think of the rotation in the secondary? So obviously Lathan Ransom was not available for this game. He might not be against Penn State. We'll find. I'm sure we'll find out an hour before kickoff.
I'll say we'll find out on Saturday morning.
Yeah. But anyway, Lathan Ransom didn't play. Jalen McClain, it looks like, started this game. Jermaine Matthews rotated in, with then Jordan Hancock moving to safety. You had times where Jermaine Matthews was on the field more. You had Lorenzo Styles at safety or in the slot. How do you guys think about the overall defense, the secondary rotating this week?
They did pretty well other than a couple chunk plays. I think like with Ransom being out, I don't know how confident they are with just going straight up, back up in there playing. But, I mean, Styles can play all over the field. He played safety last year. And he does a really good job. And then you can pretty much put anyone next to Downs and probably get away with it. So I think that there was one play. It was when Jermaine Matthews got burnt for the touchdown where he fell down and there was a wide open receiver in the end zone. I think it was Nair. Yeah. I think it's just there's like small things that you definitely could notice watching the game, but I don't think it was horrible.
No, it's fine. Again, I mean, we can't get pressure unless we bring six. The front four just continue to not get pressure on the quarterback, which is really frustrating. I thought I really liked when they were bringing pressure early, but then when you were bringing pressure early and you didn't hit your gaps and Raiola's getting chunks on the ground, which I don't think anyone was expecting. Because I think he ran the ball really well in that first half. At least he had a couple really big runs. You're not spying him because he hasn't run really at all, and you think, oh, he's kind of got a bum ankle, so he's probably not going to try to run as much. But he was taking what the defense was giving him, and he was getting big plays on the ground. But yeah, again, it's just the lack of QB pressure. It just continues to baffle me every week.
It's incredibly frustrating. I think with the secondary, I did like the rotation for sure. Even when Ransom's back, I like the idea of rotating those guys a little bit because I think you need to with Jermaine Matthews because I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think he needs to be getting reps or he will leave. And he nearly left last offseason. I know that for a fact. He clearly has been unhappy with his amount of reps this year. he'd start pretty much anywhere else. So if you want to keep him here, he needs to at least get some sort of reps. But the thing that did frustrate me besides the lack of pressure, because you can't, for whatever reason, get pressure with 4 guys, even though they're all seniors. Kenyatta Jackson played 15 snaps in this game. Okay, Caden Curry played 9. Caden McDonald played 10. Edric Houston played 5. That one doesn't bother me as much. But McDonald, Curry, and Jackson are barely getting reps. And Kenyatta Jackson arguably has been the one guy for the Buckeyes that at times this year has looked like he is their best overall defensive end from just a talent standpoint of being able to get after the quarterback. At some point, guys, this is just my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel. I think you need to kick seniority out the window, and whoever's the better player needs to be getting the reps instead of this favoritism for all these seniors, because I feel like we're seeing it a lot with this defense, and some of these guys are not performing the way you need them to, and you have a guy like Kenyatta Jackson who clearly when he's on the field, he's making impact plays for you. Like, that's what he's doing, but you're not giving him the reps because, got to get JT on the field, got to get Jack Sore on the field. But when you look at it, if you translate that and you would give Kenyatta Jackson starter reps, he probably leads the team in sacks, but he just is not getting the time that he needs to. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I think some of these younger guys have proven that if they're on the field, they are getting after the quarterback better than Sawyer and JT.
I got nothing, man.
Hard to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, you hit it right on the head. It is, again, it's just frustrating. But, I mean, Larry Johnson, I'm sure he's got his favorites on who he's going to put out there no matter what. And, I mean, we always hear that there's a disconnect between him and Jim Knowles and the different styles they want to run and whatnot. So it's like, who knows what goes on in those coaches' office, those coaches' meetings every day and what they're seeing on film. Because it's like we're just not there, so we don't know. Mm-hmm. But it is frustrating because obviously what they're doing isn't working, right? Mm-hmm. So you might as well throw something else out there to try to get a spark and see what happens.
I think the big thing is like kind of like you said, Nick. Like, don't get me wrong, Tyleik Williams had a sack in this game. Make sure I got it. Yep. And then JT did have a sack, but some of these sacks aren't being created by 4-man pressure. They're being created when you're sending 6 guys at the quarterback. And that to me is the biggest issue. Like, these are guys on your team that, I mean, they hope to have a good NFL future and they might generate some pressure from time to time. And again, stats are not everything. Let me just say that. Them getting 10 or 12 sacks, like, would that be great? Yeah. But stats are not everything. I understand that. But I continuously see, it seems like the second year in a row now, Sawyer and JT, for whatever reason, just do not – I don't know. It's baffling to me. It really is. And I agree with you with the Larry Johnson thing. I think he's got favorites. And I think overall, though, this defense – and I'm glad we saw rotation this week because I was starting to believe we were seeing some favoritism against Oregon when you were just putting Denzel Burke out there every single play.
On an island.
Clearly was having the worst game of his career.
He made some good plays this week, though. He bounced back.
Dude,
he did
almost get burnt on one early. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again, dude. Are you kidding me? Luckily, the kid dropped it, but yeah, I'm like, jeez. Yeah.
Thank you, Doug. I actually did not realize this.
Covered and unblocked. Excellent.
I mean, sounds about right.
Yeah. For everyone watching, we were watching the game while we were at a wedding.
So the second half is kind of like
we were getting pretty toasty. Is all I gotta say.
Oh yeah,
so a little in and out on what was going on there. So
all we know is that literally, as Nebraska was going down the field late in the game, we had to walk down to go stand next to our groom and be there for his wedding. So we didn't even see the last couple drives of the game. So brutal stuff.
We sent it down the telephone line. This is like Nebraska scored, we lost.
I think there was like 4 minutes left, and we had to walk down and just
Like, are you kidding me? Come on.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, guys, because I think it's important to bring this up. And yeah, we are going to talk about, funny enough, all three phases of this team. Is it safe to say Ohio State has a kicking problem?
Well, all right. So I actually, funny enough, last week,
for this.
I'm not trying to like roast anybody here, but I think if we would have gotten in that opportunity to kick a field goal in the Oregon game, I don't think we'd make that kick.
No, I agree.
I think like there was like a segment of the fan base that was like, oh, like Will Howard slid. They should have honored the timeout to send out the kicker because like we could have won. And I'm like, dude, I don't think any way that Jaden Fielding makes that kick 52 yards or whatever it would have been. I have no confidence in him making a big kick. Anything under like 40, like sure.
40 and in, I'm with you. I feel like it's probably fine.
He's got a good leg. He's not very accurate kicker.
Well, I say even his kickoffs, dude. His kickoffs have been brutal this year. Even like on Saturday, they weren't coming out clean, and I don't know. It was weird.
He nearly kicked it out of bounds the first kick of the game. The only reason he got saved is because the guy muffed it.
It looked like the wind was whipping too, which I thought was weird because, I mean, the ball fell off the tee like 3 times on the opening kickoff before Burke had to go hold it.
Yeah, I'm definitely there.
No, definitely a kicking problem. Punted the ball 5 times. I don't know what our net punt was, but had a long of 61, I think, is what McGuire had, which is probably with a roll, but still.
The thing
that's probably the most people used the punter in the last 2 years. It feels like. Oh
yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Well,
I mean that 1 for 10 on third down didn't help anything.
Yeah, dude, that's brutal.
Yeah, that was. Jeez, that was awful. And we've talked enough about Chip Kelly's play calling, but the thing about the kicking is we have multiple kickers on the roster. If Fielding isn't, if he's not getting it done, go to somebody else. Like, there's no guarantee that guy's going to be good, but. Dude, we're Ohio State. I would think we have one competent kicker on this roster. Like, I find it hard to believe we wouldn't have one guy that can make kicks that he's supposed to make, I guess.
I mean, Nebraska's backup was booting 56-yarders. And
sure was.
Playing out. But yeah, it was at one point and during that game, we're like, he's not the backup anymore. Like, he just won the starting job.
Go portal hunt for a kicker.
Jesus.
Hey man, we nearly did. We nearly did if Alabama didn't.
Yeah, that was different. That's the Luke Groza Award winner.
That's what I'm saying though.
Like, of course we're gonna go after him.
Find the next winner. Find the next Luke Groza Award winner and offer. Hey, that's a college football in a nutshell now. Find him. Go bring him in.
It's so frustrating. I hate it. It is frustrating.
It is frustrating. There's no doubt. But yeah, we've talked about all 3 aspects of this team. Rare moment where we actually do that. Seems like we never talk special teams, but it was fun. It was deserved for sure. Anything else you guys want to add on this game, just kind of before we wrap things up and recap our picks for the week and make our picks for this week?
Corn. We do a lot of things with corn.
Here we go.
I mean, all in all, we got the win. On to the next.
Yep, that's all.
And
that's all it is.
And this is probably the biggest game of Ryan Day's career this weekend. So
it's definitely a make or break, dude.
Like, he loses this, I'm telling you, I won't shut up about making a change. Just so we're clear.
The seed is getting warm. That's all I gotta say.
I would agree.
Nick Rossbork is back there, ready to get himself a head coach, and he's waiting for that opportunity where Ryan Day slips up. That's all I gotta say.
He might have someone on his radar that is an Ohio native and currently residing in the state of Ohio. But that'll be a fun discussion.
We're gonna leave that name. Yeah,
that'll be a fun discussion.
Unnamed.
Hopefully, we don't have to have that discussion. Let me just say that.
That's true. Again, like George said, a win's a win. On to the next one, baby. Bring on Penn State, and we'll get into that on Thursday. But hopefully, it's just a tight game, dude. That's all.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot.
I like the good football games, except when we're in them.
There's a lot to talk about with that game. I'll save it, including they might have a quarterback issue. So there is a lot to talk about in that game. But picks from last week, how did you guys end up doing?
Bro, I'm getting cooked. Good thing there's no money going on these games because I'd be
Oh man, the fighting Kyle McCord would have screwed me out of a parlay. Man, how bad was he, dude?
dude.
Gosh,
I don't want to roast that guy too much, but
it was brutal.
we were like,
Brutal stuff.
we're like, oh, there's a pick six. There's another pick six. And right before halftime, another pick six.
I mean, you throw the ball 64 times, you're bound to throw 5 interceptions, right?
You're not supposed to.
He's thrown more passes. For anyone in the chat who isn't aware of this, he's thrown more passes already at Syracuse than he did all of last year at Ohio State.
That's
So
crazy.
just something to put in context. Like, it's nuts. I think I posted if it was a soccer like meme, but it was relevant. If I say what I want to say, I'll be suspended for the next 6 months. Regarding
Hey, all I know, I went 7-1, so I had a great week.
I went 7-1. I went 7-1 as well. 37-19 on the year.
Yeah, Jordan was just trying to be the odd man out and be edgy.
I don't want to ride the favoritism. It's no fun if I don't change it up.
It's all right to do that, though. Hey, man. So, serious question, and then we can get into the next games, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, is Travis Hunter back in the Heisman conversation just because they're ranked now? Colorado 23rd in the country.
He never should have not been in the conversation.
Yeah, I know, but now I feel like he's definitely like solidified his position. I feel
we have a quarterback in the conversation. Cam Ward, maybe.
You know who else?
I think Cam Ward's technically the front runner right now.
I think Shador should be in the conversation, to be honest with you.
Well, it's Deion's son, so that's why he ain't getting no conversation. That's what he said earlier this week. Someone asked him that actually.
This is how I like. People can say whatever they want about Shador because I understand the criticism he might get. To me, he is probably the best quarterback in college football. And now with what he's doing with this Colorado team, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that if they keep playing and they potentially have the opportunity to get in a Big 12 title game, I don't know how Shador's not even in that conversation. I just don't, because the way he's playing right now, it's insanity. I mean, you watch him play, he's in complete control. I think he's completing like 77% of his passes, completed 83% against Cincinnati. I mean, he's balling out. So, but to answer your question, Hunter should absolutely be in the conversation. Cam Ward really didn't play great against Florida State. I mean, he played all right, but I mean, he's probably still in the conversation. Dylan Gabriel is going to continue to be in there, even though, honestly, his numbers aren't overwhelming, but they're number one in the country. He'll be in that conversation. Gene T, I think he'll be a finalist. But yeah, I think Hunter should be, because to me, Hunter is the best overall talent in the country. I think that's pretty obvious.
I'd love to see him in the orange and brown next year.
I don't think we're going to pick high enough. Anyway.
James.
Anyway, guys. So, all right. Picks for this week. The slate, to be honest with you, is kind of terrible. Like, no sugarcoating it. It's pretty terrible.
Let's get muddy.
So let's start off with a little. What's tonight? Tuesday night?
Give me some teams we don't even know anything about.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to. Seriously, I'm going to. Let's go. Friday night, South Florida at Florida Atlantic. USF is a 2.5-point favorite.
Is Florida Atlantic wearing their post use?
You mean Florida International?
No, wrong.
So USF, University of South Florida at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take USF in this game.
What are their records? What's the spread?
-2.5 for USF. So South Florida is currently 3-4, and Florida Atlantic is 2-5. Both teams.
Give me the Owls. Give me Florida Atlantic at home.
Give me those bowls. Give me the bowls.
You're going Tom Herman's squad. I like it. Okay.
Give me the Owls.
Woo. Yeah, I'm going with the Bulls. Okay, here's a fun one, guys. Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. It's actually a game that will kick off Well, okay, we can't. It's already kicked off. My
Gosh,
apologies.
dang it, TJ.
Dude, we don't do our picks till the end of the show, so okay.
They're playing Monday night.
Monday night, college football, baby.
Dude, I read that wrong. I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
Are they not playing TJ?
No, they're playing.
You're a jabroni. Come on. What is it?
Louisiana Raging Cajuns at the Texas State Bobcats.
Give me Texas State.
I'm taking Texas State because I did a dynasty with them. So
yeah, I've seen them play a couple times. Give me Texas State.
What's the spread?
Texas State -3.
Give me UL, baby.
Woo. All right. Moving on, guys. To some teams that we actually know. 19th ranked Ole Miss at Arkansas. Ole Miss is a 7-point favorite on the road.
Toddy.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Ole Miss as well.
Same. If it was a night game, I might pick Arkansas, to be honest. But
Arkansas already they've run out of their juju.
The magic. Yeah, all their magic's gone.
Yeah, give me Ole Miss.
All right, here's one that I'll tell you why we're picking this in a second. Minnesota at 24 ranked Illinois. Now, keep in mind, Minnesota is actually a 3-point favorite on the road.
What do they know? What does Vegas know that we don't know?
I don't have the answer for you.
Why are they favorited?
Dude, give me Fleck in Minnesota, dude. Yep. I'm going Minnesota.
Did Luke Altmaier get hurt and I just don't know about it?
Golden Gophers, baby.
See, this is what's frustrating because now I don't know why, and normally I would normally pick Illinois in this case, but now Vegas clearly does know something that we don't know.
Illinois.
The Fighting Illini.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there was any. Okay, they lost the receiver Malik LZ to injury.
I'm going with the Gophers, bro.
Defensive back Caleb Patterson, starting receiver Pat Bryant.
So they're cooked. So Illinois is cooked.
You know what? I think Illinois bounces back. I'm going with Illinois at home.
Minnesota beat USC earlier this year. I'm going Golden Gophers.
They did, but I think Illinois is better than USC.
Dude, there's been a lot of teams that have beaten USC this year.
That's factual.
USC is
factual.
They are not very good. Okay. Moving on down the list here a little bit. Man, dude, this schedule this schedule really blows chunks. Nah, that's too easy. Okay, here's one that should be close. Arizona State at Oklahoma State. ASU is a 3-point favorite on the road.
I wonder if Arizona State got a kicker at those tryouts that they had today. Who are they playing? Arizona State's playing who?
At Oklahoma State. 7 o'clock kickoff. Arizona State 3-point favorite on the road.
Gosh, dude. Every time I pick Oklahoma State, they get boat raced.
That's what I was going to say. That's why I'm picking them. Go.
I'll say I'm going to Oklahoma State.
Who is playing? My question is, who is playing quarterback? That's what's a really good question. If it's Bowman, then they have no chance.
Doesn't matter, dude. Ollie Gordon. Handed off 50 times.
It looks like it. Okay. I'm taking Arizona State.
Boo.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I'm not. Alan Bowman is literally like 28 years old, 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Nah, I'm good. I'll pass. Yeah, definitely not.
30 years old, Brandon Weed.
Yeah, I know he ain't that old, but the dude's played like 8 years of college football, so I just like to make fun of him.
Be Cam Rising next year.
Dude. All right, here's an this one's interesting. Only a 2.5-point favorite in this game. 10th ranked Texas A&M at South Carolina for a 7:30 kickoff. I believe it actually is.
That's a tough one.
The featured game on ABC.
A&M at South Carolina.
Give me A&M in this game. A&M is on a roll.
I'm gonna take the Gamecocks.
I'm with you. I'm going to take South Carolina at home. It's a night game. We know it's hard to go on the road in the SEC. Marcel Reed, to be fair, played really well. And he's the reason that they beat LSU, because before that, I mean, they were not playing very well. I'm going to go South Carolina. Lenora Sellers. I like this team. I like the team at home, so I'm definitely going to take them. Again, only 2.5-point favorite, and again, that's the 10th ranked team in the country. Only 2.5-point favorite. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, so okay, moving on. Another fun game, guys. Wisconsin at Iowa, 7:30 kickoff.
I don't like this game at all.
I don't really like it either, to be honest.
Who's favored? Probably Iowa, right?
Iowa's a 3-point favorite at home.
Gosh, dude. This game smells like 10-7.
It does, doesn't it?
I'm going to go with the team that has the better player. I'm going to go with Caleb Johnson and Iowa at home.
Yeah. I think I agree, but I just hate to say the same thing. But this game is just gross.
I'll go Wisconsin in this one.
Okay.
There you go, Jordan. Being the opposite. Give me
All right,
Iowa.
guys. We wrap it up here with one of the better games. Honestly, outside of Ohio State and Penn State, I would say this is the second best game.
Wait, I'm going to guess it. Okay?
Okay.
It's Kentucky at Tennessee, isn't it? That's probably the best game of the weekend, right? Right? I mean, come on. 16.5.
Tennessee's wearing their blackout uniforms, too.
Yeah,
does Michigan stand a chance against Oregon?
Is that the game, TJ? That's the game, right?
No, I didn't have us picking that one, actually.
You did?
We can.
Well, what's the game that we're going to have us pick?
The game I was going to have us pick was 18th ranked Pittsburgh at 20th ranked SMU.
Let's pick that one.
Give me the ponies.
I'm taking the ponies at home as well.
Give me Pitt.
All right.
But touching on Oregon, Michigan, that game is going to be interesting, dude. It's at the Big House. Is it a noon kickoff?
Yeah.
3:30.
3:30. Ooh. So
it's going to get 14.5-point favorites.
Oh wow, that's a lot of points. We're not going to pick it, but I don't know if Oregon covers, dude. I think Michigan's defense is going to be able to hold it pretty close.
If you guys want to pick it, we can.
I mean, if you
don't have to, I just didn't know if it was like if that was so obvious that we just.
I don't know if it's. I mean, I think Oregon's going to win.
I do too.
I think Michigan can cover that spread though. That's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points.
And I think Michigan's going to be really
surprised.
physical and just kind of bludgeon them a little bit.
Boy.
But I thought it was so surprised. Dude, I thought it was so funny watching Michigan play this past weekend. Anytime Alex Orji came to the game, what are they running? QB power every single time. And the other team didn't even try to stop it. Didn't even like, oh, maybe he'll throw the ball. Like, no, dude. He literally is just going to run the ball every play, no matter what, whenever he gets the ball. That's it. He doesn't hand the ball off. Doesn't even look to hand the ball off. It's just straight QB power every time. It's baffling, but I think Michigan covers.
Quick question for you, Nick, before we wrap it up.
Oh, God.
Will Kentucky be bowl eligible?
No, they're not. Dude, you want to hear the rest of their schedule? I'll read it to you real quick.
I have it in front of me.
Yeah, they're at Tennessee today. They have to win 3 out of their last 4, right? At Tennessee this weekend. Murray State, they'll beat them. Dude, then they have to go to Austin and play Texas, get embarrassed. And then end the year with Louisville, which, I mean, that's not going to be an easy game either. So it's like, dude, they got to win 3 out of their last 4. It's just not happening. It's not happening. I mean, they've made a bowl game, Rach, probably the last 4 years? Made a bowl game? I mean, the Stoops. I mean, to be fair, though, they tried to get Stoops out this year. I mean, he literally was lined up to be the head coach of A&M, and then word got out, and they're like, ugh, we don't want him. And then he's back in Kentucky. So it's like, I don't know, man. There's no way they're bowl eligible this year. They'll probably lose 3 out of their last 4, if I'm being completely honest. I think they might beat Louisville at home just because it's at home. But, I mean, it was an embarrassing performance this past weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize the Florida game was as bad as it was until I saw the score. I just thought they lost. I was like, they got bludgeoned. I mean, it's just not good. Vandergrift got pulled last week. So that tells you what's going on in Lexington.
Yeah, not good times right now. Not good times,
catch, baby.
Guys, be sure drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Friday, we will have your Ohio State versus Penn State game day preview. There is a lot. I'm telling you, there's already a lot to talk about with that game. Again, a lot of news on the Penn State side of things. We will cover it all for you. Hopefully, have a lot more updates by that time on Penn State. If you have any questions about the game that you want us to answer, be sure to tweet them at us at the SG_podcast on Twitter. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions about the game. But thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Scarlet and Gray podcast. We will talk to you guys all again soon. As always, go Buckeyes.